The warm California evening settled over the coastline as the last streaks of sunlight disappeared beyond the Pacific Ocean. A steady breeze carried the scent of salt water across the nearly empty highway, leading toward one of the nation's largest Marine Corps installations. Civilian traffic had grown light, leaving only a handful of vehicles, traveling toward the military checkpoint before darkness completely took over. Behind the wheel of a dark gray SUV sat Colonel Maya Brooks, a highly respected black woman who had dedicated more than 25 years of her life to serving the United States Marine Corps. Her leadership had been tested through overseas deployments, humanitarian missions, and countless moments that demanded courage under pressure. Those who served alongside her knew her as a commander who never expected anything from her Marines that she wasn't willing to do herself. Tonight, however, there were no dress blues, no medals, and no signs of rank. Instead, Maya wore a simple navy blue blouse beneath a lightweight brown leather jacket, paired with dark jeans and comfortable shoes. Her neatly tied hair and calm expression reflected someone eager to leave another demanding week behind. She believed that once she removed the uniform, she became just another American citizen, driving home after work. Only a small military identification card resting inside her wallet hinted at the enormous responsibility she carried every day. Earlier that afternoon, Maya had spent hours inside the Pentagon, participating in national security briefings alongside senior military leaders. Every discussion centered on protecting American service members and strengthening cooperation between military and civilian agencies. She had listened carefully, as officials emphasized that mutual respect and professionalism were essential. Whenever different agencies worked together, those words remained fresh in her mind as she guided her SUV toward the base she proudly commanded. She smiled softly while thinking about the young Marines under her leadership. Many of them were barely out of high school, serving their country with determination and hope. She often reminded them that true leadership was measured not by rank, but by integrity, humility, and the willingness to remain calm under pressure. Her phone connected through the vehicle's hands-free system, chimed with a voicemail from her elderly mother. "Don't work too hard, sweetheart," her mother had said with a warm laugh. "Even colonels need dinner and sleep." The message brought another smile to Maya's face. For all of her achievements, family remained the reason she wore the uniform every morning. She wanted every young American, regardless of race, gender, or background, to believe that service and hard work could open doors once thought impossible. Several hundred yards behind her, a marked police cruiser merged onto the highway. Officer Daniel Carter had recently joined the local police department after graduating from the academy. Like thousands of officers across America, he had entered law enforcement because he genuinely wanted to protect his community. The night shift near the military installation was usually quiet, demanding patience more than action. His field training officer had repeatedly reminded him that every traffic stop required professionalism, careful observation, and respect, because no officer ever truly knew who they were meeting. As the cruiser continued along the highway, Daniel noticed Maya's SUV ahead. Nothing about the vehicle immediately suggested criminal activity. It maintained a steady speed, stayed centered in its lane, and followed every traffic regulation. Still, the rookie officer decided to observe the vehicle a little longer as part of his routine patrol. Inside her SUV, Maya remained completely unaware that she was being followed. Soft jazz music played quietly through the speakers, while the illuminated entrance to the Marine Corps base appeared in the distance. The familiar security towers and American flags brought a quiet sense of relief. After several exhausting days away from home, she glanced briefly at the dashboard clock and thought about the reports waiting on her desk the next morning. Even after decades of military service, responsibility never truly ended. Then, without warning, bright red and blue emergency lights exploded across her rear-view mirror, reflecting sharply against the evening sky. Years of military discipline immediately took over. Maya checked her mirrors, slowed her vehicle, smoothly activated her right turn signal, and carefully guided the SUV toward the shoulder near the entrance to the installation. Her movements were deliberate, calm, and cooperative. She placed both hands visibly on the steering wheel, took a slow breath, and quietly reminded herself of the same lesson. She had taught hundreds of Marines throughout her career that professionalism, patience, and respect often determine how difficult moments unfold. Officer Daniel Carter stepped out of his patrol vehicle and approached the driver's side with measured caution. His flashlight illuminated the interior, just enough to confirm that the driver had both hands resting on the steering wheel, exactly as officers are trained to request during traffic stops. "Good evening, Mom," he said in a firm but professional tone. "I'm Officer Daniel Carter with the Oceanside Police Department. The reason for the stop is that I observed your vehicle drift close to the lane marker a moment ago. May I please see your driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance?" Colonel Maya Brooks nodded calmly. "Of course, officer. My wallet is in my handbag, and the registration is inside the center console. I'll reach for them slowly." "Thank you," Carter replied. Her movements were deliberate and unhurried. Years of Marine Corps discipline had taught her that clear communication often prevented misunderstandings. Before they could begin, she handed over her driver's license. Along with a Department of Defense identification card, the officer glanced briefly at the military credential before returning his attention to the driver's license. "Please remain in the vehicle while I verify everything." "Certainly." As Officer Carter walked back toward his cruiser, Maya quietly looked through the windshield at the familiar entrance to the installation. Hundreds of Marines lived and worked beyond those gates. Every decision she made as commanding officer affected thousands of service members and their families. She knew that leadership extended beyond military operations. It meant setting an example during ordinary moments, especially when situations became stressful. Inside the patrol car, Carter entered the information into the computer. The system took longer than expected to process the military-related records. The delay caught his attention. He requested assistance from dispatch. "Dispatch, can you verify Department of Defense credentials associated with this identification?" Stand by the radio remained silent for several moments. Meanwhile, at the installation's main gate, Corporal Ethan Ross observed the traffic stop from the security cameras used to monitor approaching vehicles. Traffic stops near the entrance were uncommon, but not unusual still. Every incident occurring near the perimeter was documented for security purposes. Ross zoomed one of the cameras toward the stopped SUV. The image sharpened. He immediately recognized the vehicle. Then he recognized the driver. His eyebrows lifted. "That looks like Colonel Brooks," he quietly said. Another Marine standing beside him leaned closer to the monitor. "I think you're right, Ross. Check the vehicle registration. Authorized for installation access." The information matched following standard security procedures. He contacted the watch supervisor. "Sir, one of our authorized command vehicles is currently stopped just outside Gate 4. Requesting confirmation before we update the access log copy. Continue observation. Do not interfere unless requested." Outside, Officer Carter received a response from dispatch. "The identification appears valid, but we're unable to verify additional military information from our system. You may need to coordinate with base security if necessary." Carter looked toward the guarded entrance only a short distance ahead. He realized that a routine traffic stop near a federal military installation required careful coordination and respect for jurisdiction. Walking back toward the SUV, he took another look at the calm woman waiting patiently behind the wheel. She showed no signs of panic or hostility. Instead, she appeared remarkably composed, as though years of responsibility had taught her that difficult situations were best handled with patience rather than emotion. Neither Officer Carter nor the Marines observing from the security post realized that the next few minutes would test the importance of communication, professionalism, and cooperation between civilian law enforcement and the United States Marine Corps. Officer Daniel Carter took a slow breath. As he returned to Colonel Maya Brooks' SUV, the information from dispatch had not provided the complete picture, and years of academy training echoed in his mind. When facts are incomplete, slow down, verify, and communicate. Those principles existed to protect everyone involved. "Ma'am," he said respectfully, "thank you for your patience. Dispatch confirmed that your identification appears valid, but they recommended that I coordinate with base security before we proceed any further." Maya nodded. "I appreciate that, officer. That's the appropriate course of action. The gate security team can verify my identity." Within moments, Carter stepped back and signaled toward the military checkpoint before he could make another radio call. The gate supervisor had already noticed the interaction through the installation security cameras. Following established protocol, a military police vehicle approached the checkpoint, not with sirens or urgency, but with professionalism within minutes. A Marine Corps military police captain exited the vehicle alongside the gate supervisor. The captain walked directly toward Maya, paused, and rendered a crisp salute. "Good evening, Colonel Brooks. Welcome back to the installation." Only then did Officer Carter fully understand who he was speaking with. The realization washed over him instantly. The woman standing calmly beside the SUV wasn't simply another driver, returning home after work. She was the commanding officer of the very installation he had been patrolling outside. Instead of becoming defensive, Carter immediately acknowledged the situation. "Colonel Brooks," he said sincerely, "I appreciate your patience throughout this stop. My responsibility is public safety, but I also recognize the importance of confirming information before reaching conclusions. If my actions caused unnecessary inconvenience, I apologize." Maya offered a reassuring smile. "Officer, every profession carries enormous responsibility. Marines are trained to make difficult decisions under pressure, and police officers face that same challenge every day. What matters most is that we remain professional, treat people with dignity, and never stop verifying facts." The military police captain nodded in agreement. That's exactly how cooperation between agencies should work. For several moments, the three stood together, discussing the importance of communication between civilian law enforcement and military personnel. There was no hostility, no raised voices, and no competition over authority. Instead, there was mutual respect, built on the understanding that every badge and every uniform represented a commitment to protecting the American people. Nearby, young Marines watched the exchange unfold. Some had expected conflict. Instead, they witnessed leadership. They saw a commanding officer remain calm under pressure. They saw a young police officer demonstrate the humility to reassess the situation. When new information became available, they saw experienced professionals choosing respect over pride. Before leaving, Colonel Brooks turned toward Officer Carter one final time. "You'll encounter people from every walk of life during your career," she said. "Some will wear expensive suits. Others will wear work boots. Some may drive luxury vehicles, while others choose something simple. Character is never measured by appearance. The strongest leaders of known never demanded respect. They earned it." Those words stayed with Carter long after the conversation ended. In the months that followed, he became known within his department for his patience, professionalism, and willingness to listen before making assumptions. Younger officers often asked him why he emphasized communication so strongly during routine traffic stops. His answer never changed. "Every person you meet has a story you can't see. Treat them with fairness first. Verification comes before judgment." Colonel Brooks continued leading the Marines under her command with the same quiet confidence that had defined her entire career. She often shared the experience during leadership seminars, not as a story about conflict, but as an example of how professionalism and mutual respect can transform uncertainty into understanding. The encounter became a reminder that America is strongest when those who serve, whether in military uniform or a police uniform, work together with integrity, accountability, and respect for the law. Sometimes the greatest display of strength isn't found in authority or rank. It's found in the courage to remain calm, the humility to admit when more information is needed, and the wisdom to treat every person with dignity. If this story spoke to you, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What lesson stood out to you the most? Do you believe respect and communication can prevent misunderstandings before they become conflicts? Share your perspective in the comments below. Your voice may encourage someone else. And if you'd like to see another inspiring story about courage, leadership, and ordinary people making extraordinary choices, let us know what kind of story you'd like us to tell next. Your suggestions could inspire our next video